Hi,
Hi.
hi, Gabrielle. This is so exciting. I'm Jane Morba. This is Gabrielle Walker, and welcome. And to both of us here, I'm so excited. I'm sure you are too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank
Great.
you for having me. It's really
Oh,
beautiful to be here.
awesome. I'm so happy. We have nice little history together, so I'm looking forward to this co-creation. Good. So I think what we're going to do for people who are just tuning in and our audience, that we're going to be doing a bit of a mastermind and co-creating about the theme of home for us in ourselves and in our lives and what we're bringing out to the world. And we're going to share a bit of our process as what we do individually
Hmm.
into the world. And we're both in different parts. You're in Australia. I'm in New Jersey. And we're going to offer that. So, but before we start, we're going to do a blessing and we're going to
Hmm.
do an honoring. So I will open up and then you can help contribute. Okay. Welcome here as we walk into the temple doors. What I'm inviting us to do is just step into this space and allow the outside world to, um, take a break from our needing us. And so we're going to go into sacred space so we could tap into our intuition, our our insights, our guides, and bring us um, the messages that we need to hear, what we're going to create together creatively. So what I'm going to do is just invite both of our spirit guides, Gabrielle's guides and ancestors, and animal spirits, and Jane's ancestors, animal spirits, and guides. Welcome on board. Come into this space and we invite you in. We invite you in to play with us, to co-create with us, so we can hear deeply what's coming up, what we need to co-create with. And in that space that is safe, I invite the north, the directions of the north, the south, the east, and the west. So we can hold this space. So we're really giving permission to really hear what's coming up for us. And you have something, Gabrielle, I'm sure? Mm.
Yeah, and so as we breathe into that opening that Jane has so beautifully given us all, just ask you to take a deep breath to land here and now in this space, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And so breathing in the future and breathing out anything that's not resonant from the past. And we're breathing in our higher selves. We're just asking our lower selves to take a break, our ego selves to take a break as we step into this space. And I personally tap down into Papatunuku, Mother Earth, as we open this space as well. And as this part, I feel my vibration going out, our vibration going out, and what we're co-creating across the seas. So as Jane mentioned, I'm in Perth, Australia, and she's in New Jersey in the United States. And so we expand our energetic field to encompass all those who are called to watch this video. And we ask in every single sense that we feel that vibration in ourselves of the upgrade of our planet, of our path. And we send anything that's created, any insights, any healing that happens today in our masterminding down the lines. So through our ancestral lines for those who were unable to stand in their power and shining and who they truly are.
Mm. Mm. Beautiful. That is beautiful. Well, now as we open up the space, so ready to, talk about so much of our journey of where we've been and where we are at. And I love when you talk about the ancestors who have not been in their power, but they're co-creating with us, and that as we help us be in more in our power. Because I know I am very much into women's empowerment, and I believe you are too. But rather than talk for you, let's, I think, introduce like a little bit about our work, and we'll each have a little stage to talk about that, and we'll go back and forth.
That sounds
Okay.
good.
Good.
So how do you want to begin? Do you want me to perhaps talk about how we met?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Right, right, rather than our
Mm-hmm.
work. Yeah, how we met. You
Yeah,
want
and
to?
then we can talk. Yeah. So
Okay.
we met on a program, a coaching program a few years ago, I think 4 years perhaps. And in that time, I was really captivated by your energy and by what you were putting out into the world, and that
Wow.
sensuality and that holding space of what you were able to capture. And
Mm.
as these things happen, you know, sometimes we circle in and out about each other's work. And so, and recently I felt really called to connect with you. So I feel very
Mm.
grateful to be in this space, connecting in that way. As far as my work goes, so as Jane said, I'm based in Perth, Western Australia. And the work that I do is Rumi Rumi, so a Māori bodywork practice that is from Aotearoa, New Zealand. And I also do coaching in person and online. And so all my work is grounded in that space of allowing the energies, which at whatever presents themselves, to come forth and work with people. So there's no rhyme or reason. It's very individualized per person. Each person has their own lineage. Each person has their own experience. Each person brings their own wisdom to the table. And we all have our own ancestors or gods or guides, and they have different textures and elements. And so my role as a healer is to call in and hold the space for those ancestors, guides, or healers or energies that want to come through and channel that through. So that's how I work. There's a lot of other components around that, both through writing and through energy, but I see it all as energy work, and I see it all as transmission. And yeah, so that is a little bit about me.
Wow, that sounds so awesome. It's unique. Oh my God, that's beautiful. Oh my goddess. Well, um, you know, equally as well, when we were in the coaching program 4 years ago, we had a connection, and I was attracted to you as well, your deep listening to the ancestral shamanic level, and I did want to connect with you. And I think we at that time we had a few conversations, and we were exploring like who we were. It was a really important coaching program because we were so committed. And so I was happy to connect with you and just see your evolution. But just to know, I had a sister on another side of the world that I can really resonate with, that wasn't in my local area. And I just really admired you from afar. So as well, the deep shamanic work. And as for me, yeah, you met me, and I was really exploring the sensual, expressive archetypes in my own life, and also bringing that out to other women in their lives, so they can be a little bit more at that time, and more sassy, more sensual, more have a wellness to their whole lives that really embrace those shadow sides of our sensuality or sexuality, and making it a part of our lives. So I did coaching towards that kind had the components of the more animal spirits, the shamanic world, what a person really needs to bring out or let go so they can step into their next version of themselves. And in that time I studied like actually techniques in life coaching, and I also have this background of visibility and photography, and I always wanted to like bring in that photography element so people can really use their images, their stories, to come into the next level of who they are. So now I actually like really stepping into the sensuality again, the feminine alchemy, the goddess archetypes, and that really turns me on. And then bring in essential oils, and also the wellness, the balancing of our hormones, the balancing of what our desires are, what needs to be released, what needs to be let go. And that can come with a lot of journaling, vision boards, and creating a new story and a platform. So I am all about the feminine empowerment actually right now with clients. So I'm stepping into more of a platform, a really structured platform that's about, a couple of months deep dive, virtually mostly, and really come into the feminine empowerment with
Mm-hmm.
sensuality and the goddess. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
and as you're talking, I'm just beginning to
mm,
wonder around the sensuality for you, what you would recommend for people about embodying that. Like, what would
mm.
help someone that was just new on this path that was like, oh God, even the word sensuality freaks me out, you know? So how would you start to give people hints
You
around
know, I think it starts with um, doing a little discovering of our bodies, and maybe the language and what we do and talk to our bodies, how we talk to our bodies, and a lot of like tremendous self-care. Maybe getting really straight and arrow with like what we're really putting in our bodies, how we're hydrating, how we're, maybe incorporating things. Where's the shame? Where's that shame in our story? And I know the lineage of our mother line, I know for me, it was always, oh, the body, it's like, it was dirty or something, it's those type of things you need to let go of. Or it's beautiful on the outside, but don't let people see it. Or there's always these mixed messages. So I think getting really clear with a lot of self-care practices, a movement practice, and start loving our bodies as, revere our bodies as of the feminine archetype, the feminine that we need to deserve to be. And also probably explore a little bit about our sexuality, owning our sexuality, like that tantra piece is learning some of those concepts, first releasing, gaining access, having joy and pleasure, like those type of things can be a practice. So I could take people through rituals of pleasure, of having someone witness them on a deeper level as well. So it would be a little bit of a process, but it's doable. It's
Yeah,
doable.
yeah. And I think that's an important thing for people to know when they do this work. Like, I think back in the day, I used to think, oh, something will be a quick fix and I'll arrive at this outcome. But this work, it's like living in a process. So it
Yeah.
is very, like, there's so many layers. And as we're peeling it off, it's like we discover more and more of ourselves. And when we're first beginning, it can be a little bit scary at first,
Yeah.
just to be like, there's so much, or where do I begin, or what do I do? But you slowly begin to like attune to what resonates with you and where you're called and what work and what tools to draw on. So as we've been talking about a lot of different things that work for us, but we're also drawing on different tools in our own practices and sharing those with clients, so that there's all these different tools as well.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I mean, you and I think have committed to the coaching mentorship world. And so when you commit to that, we really have stepped into studying a lot about body work. Just have that experience of doing body work with you would be amazing, because it's a journey. And I've had experience, studied body work, yoga, 200 hours of yoga training. Not that I've taught a lot, but I just wanted to know. It was part of my dark night of the soul, honestly. I had come back from California and I had a knee injury and I was just burnt out photographer, creative person. The only thing that I could really think of that was healing me was to get on the yoga mat like 3 times a week. And then I just felt like I just needed to kiss the mat, like drop the ego, just drop the shame and the ego, the relationship I was in. Like, what was this part of my journey? What was this karma? And that experience led me to a 200-hour yoga teacher training. But that's an investment. That was a commitment. That's what I bring to the table. And studying massage in California, I've been committed to personal growth for so long, and I know you probably have too. That is what makes us coaches. And like you said, it's a journey. It's not a quick fix. We need.
And I think I wanted to, something else I heard where you're saying is also what makes us coaches in a way of like able to hold that space. It's like the pain that we've been through, like we also bring that in. So I feel like when we experience that pain, we're able to expand our capacity to understand what someone else is going through as well.
Mm.
So it's like that combined with the training interacts to really be able to hold that space. And I found yoga as a really super healing on my journey as well. I'm actually collaborating with yoga teacher at the moment. We do run a yin and healing workshop.
Oh.
So we're doing that every few months. It's really beautiful. But I've practiced yoga like quite consistently for about 10 years. And it's been so huge in like my dark nights of the soul to
Mm.
really and truly like, yeah, jump on the mat and surrender, because it's so many on so many levels it's hitting you. So
Yeah, it's a whole process and a container. And I know for me, I mean, I have to look at like what are these steps that I would like to take people in, like these steps of like 7 modulars of taking people through this journey. And you know, people have helped me along the way, and then I co-created this idea of what I want to give to my clients. And now I'm actually evolving into a whole another experience of how I want to be a coach. So I'm really excited for this next up leveling, but I couldn't do it without going through the pain and the healing of what I needed as well. And loving myself again, even though when I fell or I had shame, you got to pick yourself up and love yourself and have that compassion. That's the depth of what shamanic healing is all about. It's like the person who had to heal can help heal others, and but also give people the strength as well.
Yeah, and not be because some things that people are going through are really tough. Like some things, when we have that shame element, it can be really hard to trust another coach or another healer or another mentor, whatever you're going to for your own personal support. And there's almost like a resonance that happens when you can feel that someone actually is not judging you, as has been through that same experience. It's like like you just release and breathe into that space. So for me, it's quite important to own my own shadow stuff and own that side of my own journey, to hold that for others, and to be in that space of just being like, whatever you're going through is completely fine, and let's work, here are the tools, let's work on this direction, let's go here. And I think, because even though there are frameworks, and like you've heard that you have the 7 modules, and so that's really beautiful, there's these frameworks that we work through that are powerful for everyone, but there's also other components within that we you individually will feel called to, and you will know to dig deeper or to move deeper or to ask for more of that.
Right. And right. And like when I say 7 modulars, maybe somebody just needs 4 of them, right? Or you know, we have to be really present to what is being called to lead someone through. But the outcome is, I know women want to be more empowered, more visible, and have their energy aligned, and just say, oh, I'm on purpose. I know my mission. I'm not so much a person will help you figure out your mission, although I can do some of that. I'm just really more into that wellness, into that, have an experience of vibrancy and, you know, healing the past and the energy, so you can, you know, step into the world and not feel so like you're judging yourself all the time. You're like, oh, I'm on it. I have a book to do. I have you know, I want to do a platform. I love working with creative women. I have a creative platform, but sometimes we need to have that mentorship, so someone is guiding you, you know, that you have someone to talk to reflect with, and take you to the next level. And so, right?
You're 100%. I think, well, I always need help when I'm going to my own next level, and I certainly see that with others. Like we're not an island, like we're an ecosystem, and we're rising as a community. That's how I see it. And so we need help to see the pieces that we're blind, that we can't see. And I've set that intention for myself to always be sovereign, and always to have committed in this lifetime to that path of growth, to showing up in the highest self that I can show up in. And so of course I need help when I'm at a level that I haven't been past before. And I feel like for many people it is like that as well. Like we might not always want to admit that we need help, or we may have that real like full body, yes, I need to do that work. And I always say that's the thing to the most listen to. Like when your whole body is like, yes, I need to go there. Like that's when you should notice if you're starting to make excuses or reasons that you can't, because that's always that first full body yes is like the insight to do work. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you. I mean, I want to ask you. You're a more, or that's what I think where we connected. We're both more of a grounded, physical. We like the earth, the ritual. I mean, sometimes I use even the Amulet of the Goddess book, or runes, or tap into those tools. And like if you're just holding a rock, and sometimes I've used these chumpy Peruvian stones to do a reading, and I've studied with a Peruvian shaman woman who lives in my community at the Sacred Center. And so just holding a rock and listening to the intuition, and those runes actually are based with the peaks of the Andes Mountains. Like it's a very deep, cool process. And I've learned to say, we have the information within. So we're not being a coach that I will give you the answers, but being a coach to help someone be empowered that they find the answers too.
100%.
Right.
100%.
And so,
I think it has to. I don't think there's any other, like for me, there's no other way. Like I'm a unique individual person with a unique individual background that is not the same as the majority of my clients. So they wouldn't be able to come from that same position as me, but that they have their own calling and their own unique essence that's coming through them. So they have to draw on their own tools that resonate with them. And often what comes through, like I always just trust in a session, like whatever comes through, that to trust that feeling of that being an open channel. Like I try to be an open channel as much as possible. And that those words that are coming will serve them, and they can take it or not. But it always, the empowerment and the choice and the agency is in their hands. So
wow. So tell me a little bit about the clients like you've helped. What are some of the things you've helped women or men do? I think you work with men too.
I probably have equal men and women clients, which is a real blessing. I feel very lucky to work with men and women. When I started out on my journey, it was more women, and I find working with men beautiful. Like there's differences and similarities in the two. The type of client that's drawn to me really is a range of people, but I tend to work with people who are either feeling that yearning to find their calling, or they know their calling but they're feeling quite blocked around how to step further into it.
Oh wow.
So there's that sort of the energy work that I do, and that's either through because I see coaching as energy work as well. So either through the coaching or through the body work, it's like able to remove some of the blocks that are maybe blocking that clarity or the trust in self or the embodiment of self to pursue that. And so it's called, like, there's a number of things that people have done. So I've had producer who's been award winning. She just recently showed in states that I've worked with. People have been able to publish their books. I've had some of the men actually started really a lovely business here in Perth that is quite successful, where they're riding their, I don't know what they are, those tuk-tuk things, they've got those bikes, but they're doing that in the centre of Perth, where they're really beautiful in that, and worked with a few, done some collaborations with people, so mentoring at different centres and things like that. So it's a real range. I wouldn't say there's one specific thing, but that essence is that finding the calling, and having people feel the more element of stepping into that, even if it's in their relationship or something like that.
That's true. That's beautiful. That's awesome. Right. And then all those creative big projects, because I'm sure the creative people are the people we want to work with, right? But also, like, what kind of relationships you want. Like, you can't just have an outward yang life without knowing these are the relationships I want in my life that are going to nurture me, my next relationship, you know, how I'm going to be with my family and or my next lover, you know. So those things are important components. It's like I always feel even what another level would be the whole mandala of our lives. Like, you know, all those pieces need to be reflected on. But
Yeah, and I think like there seem, I think in any healing journey, like it's rare to focus because everything's interconnected. And how I see it with an energy release, this is just in terms of the body work.
Okay.
When it comes up, it's almost like this cluster, you know, like kelp on the beach, or, you know, something driftwood's all caught up in the beach, and it's connected. Like, while it may be one block or one sankara in yoga, or that energy is connected to loads of different parts in our lives. And so as we start to release these things, whether that be around self-worth or our calling, we may think we're working on our calling, but actually that block is holding us back in so many other areas of our life. So it's actually very we can focus on things in a traditional coaching sense, for sure, but when we're energy workers, it just happens that we're spreading out into all these mandala areas, as you say, in such a beautiful description.
Oh, that's beautiful. It would be a nice workshop to just do like a whole mandala or a mastermind or a webinar or a master class. You know, let's just talk about some of the pieces in our mandala and just where we need to raise the energy, which one needs to have a higher vibration, which one is doing okay, or which one needs to interconnect. It would, you know, I think that lots of people are doing that, but I think even in Mind Valley, there's a book, I think Vishan has a book on the engineering consciousness of that our whole life. So we could take this to so many great levels, you know, in that way. We're whole beings, right? We're whole beings.
100%. And you can't, and I found, like, and especially money and relationships, I think, are very related. They're very connected around their self-worth and what we're calling and what we're bringing in. And that way around, you sort of can't always isolate and focus on one without the other. But I would be really curious to know for you, like, who you're working with, what sort of clients.
Oh, good. Yeah. Cool question. I've had a nice opportunity to work two women recently in this past year. I'll make those as examples. One is in Europe, in Spain, and she is an author and writing books and really helping people be better speakers and visible. And so this year when we've worked together, she's gotten on more stages. She finished the book. She's got a publisher. She has like a new mastermind she's in for her book. So she just got so much more clarity in her work. And I hope to work with her again, like, you know, some co-creation with her. So that was cool. And I also, another woman who's a very intuitive kind of healer type and has 100,000 people on her YouTube and has a really already had, you know, her whole mission was to expand her programs to her clients. So we really help intuitively with her business. And that was something, and also just staying in her beauty and her essence. So there were a little bit of like weaving in of that sensuality into owning your power. So those are two cool two clients I was really happy about.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is such a blessing to work with people. Like, I always feel that every single time someone shows up, it's like, I'm so blessed to get to witness that or to be a small part. Like, because really, like, we're part of it. We're a tool as well, right? But like, it is the client doing the work. Like, they're the one choosing. Like, I always feel that this is a co-creation whenever someone is on the table or in the chair if we're coaching. It's like, this work actually would not be possible unless you're fully present, you're fully ready, and you're jumping in. Like, it's your choice. I'm not going to force anything, because it's your choice, it's your life. I'm here standing, living my life, and standing as a wayshower in my life. But you make the choices. And so I sometimes do find it difficult to talk about who I have helped and how I have helped them, even though I know that I've played this massive role in lots of people's lives personally, because I felt sometimes, just in my way, I feel that we're meant to say that, but it's like, I know that, and I receive so much in them shining, and I receive so much in people, everyone rising together, and I receive so much every single time someone comes. So it's like,
Yeah.
I know in standing in that power, and that I tend to see a lot of what I do in my work is vibratory. So it's like every time people shift, that goes out further, and I'm calling in more and more people, and then it goes out further. So it's like that their essence of what they're carrying is almost sharing my essence as well. And it's this expansion and growth of us as a community. So I think I did want to share this for other people that may find it difficult to talk about themselves, that we actually had a chat a while ago about speaking about who we help. And even though I help lots of people, I do find it difficult to talk about, and I want to honor that part of my shadow that I have at the moment, that it can be difficult for me to really go, I help this person in this way, or I help this person in that way, because I just know that. And I know it in my being. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity both to share the shadow, but also to practice in sharing how I help people, Jane. So really appreciate it.
That's great. Right. I mean, that's an honorable position to be in. First of all, I hear that you get something from working with somebody, because there's no way you cannot, just receive their transformation for them, and that you kind of receive it and you get elevated, and then knowing it's them doing the work. I mean, you work with serious people who are into transformation, I'm sure. And but also that place where you are the healer, you are the shaman healer, you're a coach. This is part of your career, your life, and you're gonna, this is very honorable. And it's it's with dropping the ego, but it's okay to have a little ego there. Yeah.
I don't know if we could always put ourselves out there if we didn't have a tiny bit of ego, because it is, we are, but I also feel that recently this has been, for me, it's so important to start putting myself out there and to being seen, because there's so many things that have shut us down as women from doing that. But also even within the Māori culture, which is part of my culture, where tohunga, or the line that I'm in, weren't allowed to charge money. That was actually, so it was more of a policy. I forget the difference between the acts and this sort of thing, but it was a tohunga suppression act in New Zealand that disallowed you from doing this work. And so I think things like that, where it's like, there's a cultural lineage that has been shutting down this work, and then there's the feminine lineage that has been shutting down this work. And so in myself standing more so and allowing myself to be seen, I feel like we're helping to clear those pathways for both future women but also past women, because time is stacked sometimes, among other things, and we're always growing as well as healers and coaches. Like I don't think it's like that all-knowing psychologist who sits there and just goes like we are trying to expand, we're trying to grow, so that we can do more and more and more and more for our clients and for us as a society as well. So
that's great. It's true. It's where it's a really creative field. To be a coach. I mean, so many different types of coaches. We need all different types of coaches, but we are a bit of more on the experience, or we might have an idea of just say, dress your new, your new essence, let that be the person, be your beautiful self. I don't mean beauty in the beauty sense. I mean, just be your most illuminated self, that inner power. So these are the things that we bring in. I'm sure you talk to the higher self of the clients and, hold the container, but it's a creative field. In a way, it's a big evolution of what's happening in society, because the coaching industry just exploded. Let's face it. Right. And now there's so many coaches, but I think we'll stand out. I think because we have integrity, Gabrielle, we really do. That's what I felt with you. We have integrity in the work we do, in the movement, and it's going to get even more creative for us. So what's next? What's next for you? Well, do you believe that? I know I'm pumping us up here, but I really believe from that lineage of not being able, as women, not being able to lead and speak, we have a responsibility.
Yeah, I really, truly, you just explained that so well. Like, I feel, and especially as women who have done work for some time, like you briefly were discussing, you know, your yoga training and the coaching training and all the healing and
Yeah.
bodywork training, and each
Overtrained.
time,
I'm
every
overtrained.
type of training, yeah.
I'm overtrained.
No, but it's not overtrained because we are we
Mm,
are gaining tools to do that. But it's like we've done some of the work, and now it is time to push ourselves further to hold that space for others. And um, yeah,
yeah, and hold the space for ourselves to, we can be compensated, we can receive, we can charge what we feel we are valued at. And that sometimes we need to be coached on that, right? You know, like
totally.
and women need to be coached on that. So um I think that's what, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that as well. Like, I think we need to be coached on everything, but
Okay.
anytime, personally, I think anytime we're standing into a part of us that feels authentic, that is has not been seen or has been hidden or has been like in whatever capacity that may be like, oh, I don't want to wear cobalt blue, like my soul wants to wear cobalt blue, but I never wear it. I always wear whatever, I always wear green, but actually my soul's yearning for this color, but it's too bright, you know.
Oh.
So there's so many, it can be from the micro to the huge to the macro,
Mm.
where whatever it is, money is like I think a massive way that's very tangible, and we see it, that it has impacts in our life, because the choices we make in standing in our authentic self, or allowing ourselves to receive that give and receive energy, that
Yeah.
actually is tangibly seen in our lifestyle and in how we feel, and our abundance and what we have, and what we are able to speak about how we feel with our elements of that. So I think for me, money is one component of this whole everything we're shifting. I think it's quite holistic for in the work I do, where people may come to me for that, but often the thing that brings someone to you is only the surface level, and once we've worked with that, there's so much more underneath that is also contributing to whatever the outer manifestation of that is.
Ooh, yes, I like that holistic money. Yeah. So, like, there's like already I have a new idea here with, you know, with you. Like, it's it could be a very cool, you know, mastermind. But
Yeah.
it is, it's a whole. You know, somebody might not come, they'll come for you for one thing, but all of a sudden they leave and realize, or not leave, or just enter into, I needed this other, you know, experience. Like we're talking about cobalt blue. We both ended up wearing cobalt blue, and we weren't even, did not
We
plan this,
didn't even.
folks. We did not plan this. And I just been feeling a shift in my energy that I needed maybe more communication. Maybe that's what it was. And I actually was in a store, just, you know, I was just cruising through a place, and I saw like cobalt blue, like leather jacket, actually, just as admiring, just as the admiring of, you know, what's out there. And I was like, that is so hot. And I just thought, I'm typically an orange, red. And I thought, I love the blue. And it probably means the throat chakra, definitely. And we're having a communication, we're having a dialogue, we're speaking our truth. And so I'm not surprised we're both wearing blue. And and you're just also saying that question, what if somebody just picks up the blue? I think it reveals something. And I totally have very interested in the chakra system, and I've studied it. I have, you know, lots of books on it. And I think that's an important place that to balance, not even balance, let's just be in chaos for a minute. Just be in different chakras. Let's like expand on it, because that's going to help our vibration. I mean, I use that with, you know, adding the oils, the stone work. And then, you know, how are you going to manifest that in the world? So bring on the blue, bring on the cobalt blue.
That's so beautiful. I'd love you to expand on that. Like when you say let's be in chaos for a moment, do you think that is part of the journey when someone starts, that it will be a bit chaotic?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we can never, yeah, I think so. Well, you know, there is, I was looking at TED Talks actually in my state, in New Jersey, and I have a real desire, burning desire to do a TED Talk. but that's a process. That's a desire of mine. And I looked at, there was a place in New Jersey, in a very cool beachy arty town, probably one of your cool beachy towns in Perth, right, area. And I looked in they had a TED Talk series, and it's one in May, and the theme was chaos. And I was like, wow, what would be a good theme for a TED Talk? I mean, this was their theme, chaos. And so I'm thinking, part of my story is, my challenge is, I've been addicted to branding, because branding is about the element of like where you're at, what do you want to teach somebody, or your flavor, not just your flavor, your byline, but like what you're teaching. And I felt like I've been in chaos of, I couldn't land on my branding, and it delayed my work until I came full circle again. Like I thought I would do, since I'm a photographer, I thought I'd do a lot of branding, but it wasn't my calling. It's not like I can't intuitively help people with that, but there are better branders, people who have systems on branding. I've worked with one. If anyone needs one, I have a resource. But I thought that was my chaos. I'll just, in terms of a story, that's my chaos. And I think that would be a good TED Talk, like why we spin out of chaos, where we can then end up landing. But that, in that sense, I mean, I've also, right? Yeah. And then, I mean, also I've studied Gabrielle Roth's 5 movements, the ecstatic dance, for 7 years in California, in the Central Coast. So we started there was a whole community. We really held this community together. We had this beautiful, beautiful big barn space with hardwood floors. And every Friday night, somebody would be the designated DJ, men or a woman. We'd make an altar, and you almost didn't even need a leader, but you just needed a DJ. And all the rhythms, one of them is chaos. You have chaos, lyrical, staccato, stillness, right? All those, and then you do dyads and triads. And it is such a transformational experience. God bless her. She died, Gabrielle Roth, but her son carries the work out in the world, and people, lead from her. But chaos, that whole movement is kind of primal, kind of important. So if I didn't go through this chaos of my brand, I wouldn't have landed and know how to help people through that chaos. I understand branding chaos.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people go through it. So maybe that would be a good talk I could submit for a TED Talk, right?
And I think as well, for clients or for people who start out on the personal growth journey, like they might still be in the mindset of there's one fix. And actually what happens is like everything comes up, like as soon as you have a few thoughts or ways to start looking at your life, you're like, oh my God, I can suddenly see all these areas I want to work up, and it can feel really, really chaotic.
Yes. Oh my God, that's a great one. Yeah, like I want to work on all these areas. That's exciting. You can actually call a program like people call programs, from burnout to flow, like, or chaos to balance. Like, no, wait a minute, I think I just want to say in chaos, because chaos is creativity. Let's honor that. And it's the same thing about honoring our transformational process. This is deep work. This is hot. This is where I think it's at.
It's really sacred work that's like so essential for all of us. I believe, but I don't think everyone, you need to force everyone into it, but I think finding some way around how you find your path and your essence. If you feel that yearning, it's calling you, the work is calling.
Yes. And that's our responsibility to communicate that, and, message that and communicate that to people, that this could be really important work, because they want to see the transformation. People want to see the transformation. You want to see more money in your bank account. You want to have a little sexier body. You could be have different lovers. I mean, like, whatever that is for you, as long as it comes from integrity and it's sacred, then I think it feels right for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The sacredness is very important for me in any work I engage with. That also
Yeah.
how I offer work. Like it has to be a sacred agreement, and I tend
Yeah.
to tap in before if a client connects in. I mean, I trust that if someone's coming to my work, there's a reason. I believe that that's a divine appointment. But I tend to tap in as well with the higher self to ask permission to do the work. Sometimes with the
Oh.
ancestors as well, because I do believe it's a whole ecosystem that they're bringing in. Want to hold that space and integrity as much as possible. Uh, but I was wondering for you, what guided you onto doing the starting to share your work as as a coach? Like what actually influenced that? Was it through chance, or was it a decision, a conscious decision for you?
Well, I think I had so many skills, modalities, and I did see the movement of coaching out there, and I thought, I want to do that. I want to be able to work for myself and um, be able to, offer my highest teachings to people. I almost don't even feel like I'm a mentor or a coach as a coach is more as a mentor. And then from the mentoring, I feel like I'm a teacher. And I haven't given myself full permission to be the teacher, but I feel more comfortable as a teacher position because I am have so much knowledge and of the esoteric teaching. So I'm like, why not be the teacher and the mentor? But I felt I I I deserve to receive and give and elevate people in this way. And also bring in the essential oils as another residual income stream that also helps being in a community with a big companies that have the bigger consciousness of the planet in mind. So it's like a vehicle. Like the company I am aligned to, they give back to people, to farmers around the world, and they give back and have charities to help people in need. Like, oh my God, that's great. So if I can offer my coaching as a way, as another piece, another spoke in my offers with oils and mentoring, it feels so creative and hot for
Yeah,
me, and
yeah,
in monetizing. And
yeah.
so I feel super creative in that way. So it's just learning those skills. Also
Mm.
getting it out there, using Facebook and so forth, because I'm not more of a local person to do my work. Although, I never know what's next, but I feel Las Vegas calls me, and just doing things more online calls me. And I think I have an Aquarian in me that I want to, you know, but I think down the road, this would be really interesting. Down the road, as I feel retreats coming down
Mhm,
would be
mhm.
really neat to just be in a weekend with women and we go really deep. I almost see us co-creating, right? Like you're doing with you're doing with one of your colleagues. That's where
Mm,
I think would be really wonderful, juicy, and
mhm.
do circle work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I find collaborations helpful because we're one person, and there's different components, especially to a retreat. There's all these different components, and so really harnessing the skills each person brings helps to heighten that and up level that in that way. So
yeah,
it is a good way to share the work and to share what things are doing. It's really curious though for even though I came from a lineage of like healing and things like that, that
yeah. Mhm.
I was actually, it wasn't really a conscious choice for me to
Yeah.
be a coach or a healer. And like I look back now, I can see in hindsight, I'm like, oh, okay, I was really preparing for that because at the same, I'd done a lot of training, but it was always for myself. It was
Yeah.
never, I never did it to share with others. I never had that mindset to share. And then when I had this sort of some bad stuff, I had like a breakup and then a miscarriage happened to me, and I was literally on the ground. And this is when I really got into yoga. I'd been practicing yoga before then, but yoga saved me. Um,
Same.
and that, but around that time, it just started being that it was like, asking those deeper questions, because unfortunately, sometimes it is that pain that takes
Mhm.
us into a space of like, what am I really here to do? How am I really meant to show up? Like, how do I get rid of all this fake programming and things like that?
Yes.
So me stepping into this path, like I've had to make conscious choices along the way to continue on the path. But I think
Yeah.
the initial step onto it, and even the way my first clients came, was so random. Like people calling me up and asking me if I did coaching without even, like, I sort of had been thinking about maybe I could offer this, but I hadn't even thought that I would offer it. You know, it hadn't even got to that concrete manifestation stage, or
Mm.
people in cafes coming up and asking me if I was a healer or things like this. It was really odd.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Mm.
for me, I think that's one of the important signs in the path, is like I always look for those types of signs that I've sort of asked for, like I
Cool.
guess I'm asking the universe for, or like even with us discussing, this felt very organic, it felt very beautiful. The way
Mm.
that things unroll and unfold feels, I like that way of flowing, and in that
Yeah.
process the structure for me forms itself. But
Mm.
I think it can be really scary to claim the path, and to step further and further, and especially with it being a part of my lineage, and you know, wanting to honor my family and wanting to honor my ancestors and wanting to honor the knowledge that I'm given either in person or through spirit, and how to do that in a way, you know, in the world where I am choosing to accept money for it, it's a real journey, in that, both that honoring and in the maintaining of the sacredness, and
Mm.
the total, yeah, wanting that space of integrity to
Yeah.
for the path and for others' paths, because I feel that the spaces we create in any coach or any healer or any psychologist or whatever, the spaces we create are sacred spaces where we're talking about these things
Mm.
that we're our deepest desires and our authentic natures and our authentic essences. So yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Well, you are a very special healer, I think, and I'm glad you claimed it, for yourself, and
Mm.
in evolving into this journey. From the years I've met you a few years ago, I think we both evolved a lot, and I'm so happy to hear
Mm.
that. And it's in the healers, we are important pieces to a culture. We need to listen to our heart space, our spirit, and if we can help people access this,
Yeah.
it is necessary in these days to
Yeah. And I
mm,
hear a lot of people say that they don't like the word healer. And
mm,
I, mm, that can worry me a little bit, because I think it's been such this beautiful lineage in so many of our cultures where the healers were really important
mm,
places in the world. And I think it depends on what understanding you have of the word. So maybe it's around interrogating your own beliefs about what healing means to you and why there's a block against that word.
ooh, it's good
Rather,
actually.
no, I'm interested in what you're going to say.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good topic. I think it would be a good topic to explore, that maybe we could talk about that.
Mm.
The lineage of the healer, from the shamans to people who studied shamanism in our countries, and the lineage, obviously you have some deep lineage here. So like,
Mm.
you must feel actualized in a way, that you're
Mm.
claiming it and you're owning it and you're practicing it. I
Mm.
feel
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a healer too. I think I need
Yeah.
to own it more a bit. um,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm,
Yeah. I mean, it is. I go back and forth sometimes. I've definitely I've shed so many tears over the healing lineage,
really?
and cleaning it up to step into this space. I've had to, or in cleaning up, because my family was in the healing space. That is a part of my lived lineage, and so my family lineage. And so, but there was all these mixed messages about hiding it and not discussing it in public,
Mm,
and how, more, you can do it behind closed doors, or you can go to auntie so and so, you can go to uncle so and so, but don't talk outside of the family. So there was a lot of that grief that came up in me in stepping into this space, and again, even respect for my cousins or respect for my family, and that
mm,
they may not be there yet where they understand why I need to be out in public doing this work. And so that for me, that's a very lived and real thing that I'm often having to integrate and to feel
mm,
into, is the terms and the words that I want to use for the sacred work. In many ways, it's like
mm.
it's not really that important what words we use, because I do believe the vibration does attract, but it is also important for us to clarify and us to voice that throat chakra again, us to
Yeah,
voice.
yeah. Well, I think that's coming up for me as well. I mean, to step into my work, the feminine alchemy, like, so I probably why I have been in chaos is because I might be, shamed or judged that, I'm going to talk about sensuality and sexuality, and that could be our healing. So there, to claim it is part of the journey.
Yeah,
But
and why
deep
for
one.
you do you feel that sexuality is so important? Like, I'd love to hear.
Why it's so important?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because it's our birthright, and um, it's that kundalini, it's our pleasure, it can bring us alive, it's really part of our lives. I mean, we all need to have, food, shelter, relationships, or friendships, relationships, career, and a healthy sexual life. Like, I
Mm,
mean, that's part of the mandala. And to suppress it or not honor it, experience our adult life with sexuality, I think is a huge component to rising up as women, owning our sexuality, owning our bodies, and also being mindful of who is going to share that with us, even if it's solo or with somebody else. And the boundaries, especially in the Me Too movement, where so much has been violated, right? And
mm.
so I guess it's kind of deep in that way. But I think I'll explore that more,
Yeah.
that
I think
question.
it's essential work. I think it's essential work. Like doing,
Essential or
yeah,
sensual? Oh,
essential, both.
both.
Oh,
Both. Hello. I
sorry.
like I'm gonna use two of
Essential,
those words.
essential. No, but it's both. Like, it is, and our sexual energy, our sensual energy, is our creative energy. So
Yeah.
we're unable to be standing in the archetypes or the energies or the embodiment that we're meant to if that sexual energy is out of alignment. And so I think it's
Yeah.
so beautiful and powerful that someone who has your type of experience would be stepping into that space, and that knowing and everything that you've done to bring that all to that and sharing that is just so, I'm
Yeah.
excited. I can't wait
Yeah, I'm
to
excited. And I think what the way for me to communicate it and to weave it in would
mm,
be to talk about the archetypes and the storytelling, not just talk about it, but embody it in a different way. Like, I do follow and listen to Sally Kempton. She's a goddess kind of archetype, uh, educator, really. And so I listen to those and I understand those. And I like bringing Kali, Lalita, Aphrodite. Those are some goddesses we're familiar with, possibly, right? And the Athena. It's like Marianne Williamson talks about, like, if we own our Aphrodite, we have to own our Aphrodite more, so we can be in that relationship with men, or
mm,
in a different way. We're talking about heterosexual here, but or in relationship, like owning, it can be any type of relationship, really, but owning the Aphrodite, owning understanding of the receptivity. So I hope to bring that more out. I won't get so deep into it now, but you're bringing it to my attention. That definitely will be one great piece of my work, working with people. What's that goddess, those questions. And that's where the coaching comes in, because needs to be a little bit of an exploration of, I do good intake form, and let's get to know someone's life, and then layer the onion peel, right? And what's coming up. So that's
mm,
part of my work, um, being grounded in that as well. Hmm.
mm, mm. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you feel is essential for anyone to know who's listening about your work, or about that we
Well,
haven't discussed yet?
well, I think I'm I'm really about the healing of women, their visibility, bringing out their visibility, that you can do the healing, but and also to be visible as entrepreneurs. That's a big piece of my work too, the healing, but also where can you take that to really communicate to receive more money, to, share products, or, let's take it all the way. Let's take the expansiveness out there. So a bit of healing work, and then let's get in the world. Then let's show up. Yeah, then let's show up. Let's do the work. We're needed. We need more women to be entrepreneurs. We need more women to lead. We need, all of that.
And we need more open-hearted people to be doing the work and showing up and being examples, for sure.
Right. So that's a good question. Yeah. And how about you? Anything you would want to share about your work that you feel would be so important for people to know, that you want for them to transform? But I think you mentioned a lot, sacredness.
I'm just feeling into what wants to come through. But I think the thing I most feel people could even start doing today is like learning how their body speaks. And we sort of expect to be able to understand, like, okay, a lot of people come to me wanting to know what their calling is. And it's like, we sort of expect to be able to know what's my calling, like, straight away. But if we don't even know the difference between what we like eating for breakfast or what we want to put on, it's like, how do we know what our calling is? Like, that's quite a big thing. So I would say start to practice in little things like, oh, do I like toast or cereal? And feel in your body, feel inside of it, feel in your gut, feel in your heart, wherever your feeling center is. What is the thing that's like turning me on right now? What is it that I want to wear? What is it I want to express? And slowly, as you build that muscle and expressing in the world through what you eat, through what you're showing up as, through little things. It doesn't have to always be big giant leaps if you're not ready for that, but through little things, slowly that muscle is growing and you're learning to understand and speak your own body's language. And so in that way, then you can show up. Then you know the services you need to pursue. For me, I'm very, very picky about who I follow and what body work I get done. I'm very picky about who touches my body. And so it has to be a full, it has to be a full on body yes, like, yes, that is where I'm going. And so, but to be there, it's through practice and through understanding the body and knowing the difference between being in the heart and making a decision and being in the mind and making a decision. So I think I would just invite people to try that, like, throughout the day, like, what do I want for lunch, and feeling into what differences your body is for a yes, or maybe even start with something like a dress you love and a dress you're not so sure about. And so things you already know the answer to begin with, so you can start to tell the different textures of how your body speaks. So.
Oh, I love that. It is a simple thing. Like, let's chunk things down and, what are our preferences? What are our desires? That's what we're here for. So that would be a good start, because I think the outcome for me would be, what really gives you joy? How do you really want to live? And I know I'm always designing that and investigating, discovering that for myself. And it's a new year. I feel like I'm coming home. I think the theme, we have a lot to talk about. Maybe we the purpose was to really talk about our work so people really understand where we're at. And I think the theme of coming home into yourself, I think, is important. So those desires is about coming home. So maybe we could talk about that maybe a whole nother chat, and then get a little deeper. Would you totally be up for that?
Yeah, let's do one on desire.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Like the exploration of desire, where it comes from. Let's chunk it down, and then, like, maybe give people insights on that. And I know people talk about that a lot, but it is so true. It is really an important piece of you do with your clients, right?
I'm very I follow what clients need, and then I draw on all these tools and all these training. There is a pathway. Like, I tend to view that there's this journey and where we want to go and set objectives and things like that, but it's also an energetic process and agreement. So some people have less trouble with certain areas than others, and we're all bringing different things, but there's definitely similarities in our collective of what we're going through. So there tends to be patterns, and that's how we can work with them well.
Wow, that's beautiful. You're very organic and flow. We need more of that, right? Then
There
the
is a process, but
structure.
it's very organic human.
But we'll get there, right? And I think
I'm a Virgo as well, so
oh.
it's so how I do. I'm a Virgo, so it's very. I plan a lot in advance, and then once I step into
Oh.
the space, then I let go. So
Mm.
it's not for every, depends, but yeah, it's very. I have the structure and the process and the framework in my head, and I can see where that's going. But if I see that it needs to go in another direction, I will also allow that to happen, because that's where spirit or that person's energy is saying it needs to go. And that framework is like a container as well. It helps, just like the open space when we start, that framework helps us to hold that container, so there's a safety in knowing where we're going. But sometimes, yep,
Yeah.
spirit's like, let's go over here.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, I just see a whole vision of your work. Yeah, it's stepping into a sacred portal with you. And I like how you said you really ask for permission. You ask for permission of the universe. You ask for permission for the guides, the ancestor lineage. And I think it's important. That could really be you make you a step above. I think a lot of people doing your work. You know, you take it very seriously, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. Asking for permission, we do that. That's why we actually showed the process of our prayer in the beginning of our conversation, because this is how we work. Well, you know, both of us. So
Yeah.
we
And
align.
another part which we'll do when we close is
Yeah.
I always really like, when I close, offering the benefits or the gains from what has been gathered back down into the earth, so that the earth is also rising from those, so that the embodiment, they now know, the earth now knows we have embodied another level.
Oh my
So that's
God.
another part that I also is very important to me.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a whole nother level. I didn't know that. So I learned something. That's a really, that transformation and teaching gets put that back to there. So you can maybe guide us through a little bit of that when we close. Yeah, great. And I have something for us. I brought for the sensuality, I brought a red feather. So but it would be like my way of incorporating and honoring art, the chakras and the energy, and a little celebration for us, a little Mama Gina energy of just honoring the feathers. So, yeah.
Beautiful. I love
Oh, the
it.
feathers are very. There's a lot of spirituality in feathers and Native American.
Yeah, and the air element
Air.
and
The
everything.
air, the conscious, the ideas, the air, and so maybe
The
incorporate.
flight that we take,
Oh, I
that
think that was one of
we're
my.
starting to
Oh,
fly.
that's right. I think that was one of my spirit guides. Yeah, the bird, the flight. So we're
Mm.
taking flight and we're grounding it. Oh, yeah. No, this is all super hot. We got some great stuff going on. Not even stuff. I think it's what's the right word? Potent tools here to
Yeah.
transform. Yeah, the air and the great stuff. Great.
Yeah. So what other tools do you tend to draw in? The other objects really important for you, and when you
I,
are working?
I do right now. I have some rose oil here, and I think since I'm aligned to an oil company, doTERRA, I really collect a lot of oils, and they're high vibration. So I use those for my emotions. I use those in different parts of my body, and that just absolutely helps ground me. So I would use oils to start a session, use oils to start projects, and so forth. So and I love stones, and I like mala beads and stones. Like I actually want to incorporate more stones and wearing stones and really living just to deal with the energy of life.
Mm-hmm.
So stones and oils for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
How about you? And
Yeah, for me, so in multiculture, we tend to work more with stones that are picked off the ground. So we tend
yeah.
not to work with stones that have been mined. And
Oh,
so
very
I tend not to buy stones, but people give them to me. So I have quite a few.
good.
But that we use, and I also like use pendants a lot. So to clear energy.
Yes. Mm.
And personally, I love incense and oils as well. I have a good
Yeah.
friend, Monica, who makes them. She does them for me. So we
Mm.
just we collaborate and we talk and we discuss, and then she makes up the oils that I need for different purposes. So I do like
Mm.
loving oils for massage and things like that.
Nice.
So that I also think our oils are really powerful and very needed on the planet for everyone. I think that accessing those, and I think the stones are powerful too, but for me, I
Mm.
have that preference of using stones picked off the
And
ground.
I'm so glad you said that, you know, the stone on the that you picked up. You know, that because if you're even living in the city, or I live more in the country, but you know, you could just take a stone and put them on your altar, and it's a message, and it's like they're a whole, I don't know, I think I was even listening to something about on public radio about um the neurons in stones, like the like it's a mystery, how, where does a stone come from, and like what's in a stone, and what's in an atom, right? Like we're just pieces of this whole universe, and it helps us connect. So absolutely don't need a mind like rock. You can pick up a stone or a stick, and that can be a really important message, you know. So I definitely agree. Why
Yeah,
not, you know?
I'm a big advocate for following whatever calls you. So
Okay.
whatever. So I every time I do a session, I pattern the room differently, and it's just following
Oh,
whatever wants to come and be a part of the session. I have my preferences or things that I use every time, like this
mm,
Ponoma or greenstone seems is one of them that comes to most sessions, but other things might be unique to that person or that energy. So it's very dependent. I'm very adaptable to
yeah,
things.
very, very good. Right. It's that creative force. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. Yes. So, how are we doing here on time? Good,
I'm
good.
feeling us coming to
Mm. Yeah, we
coming
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 to
to a close.
okay. So, do you feel um you have any other things you want to talk about, or should we, you know, but or wrap up,
Mm.
or where we at? Yeah.
That feels complete for me for
Yeah.
today. I don't know. How do you feel?
I
Is there
do.
anything
I
else
do.
that
That was just beautiful, gorgeous. You know, our process, what's happening, and I think this has been hopefully really important for people to really see what we do, how women collaborate. You know, we've been in collaboration before. We had space, and then we've evolved. So I think there's some creative work that, you know, both of us, you know, I'd like to do a series for sure. And I think we talked
Mhm.
about that. So this is not going to be our first rodeo here.
No, no,
Yeah.
I would love for us to do that, to focus in on certain topics and really dig out all the
Mm,
wisdom we have around that. Because I think together we, like you say, we're on different parts of different continents, and we
yeah.
have different life experiences. We're different ages. We're different, all sorts of things that we bring to it. And I think it's so beautiful to speak to all those levels. And
Right, right. Like to speak to all those levels. I like that. I definitely grew up like outside New York, and like a whole nother, like the different decades that I've had this evolution of my life, and now it feels very high vibe, and stepping into women's leadership, and you're in Australia, and you have that other lineage. It's going to be really interesting to see also our ancestral lines. I'd love to talk about that more. I have, you know, ancestors from Bulgaria, and you know,
beautiful.
lots of different, you know, struggles. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about, you know, how we pick up our ancestral karma. I mean, there has been struggle for many different lineages, and how do you deal with that? Maybe that could be one of the questions I can ask you, one of the last
Yeah,
questions.
cool, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, today you want me to answer?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, give us a wild bonus card here. I think it would be really important for
Yeah,
people to know.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, for me
it's a
personally,
big question right now. You know.
yeah. when I'm working on body work, it tends to be more of an energetic release. So it'll be certain, so in Romi, there's certain trigger points and certain or vital points in the body that are connected to different elements of emotional, spiritual, or physical. So sometimes it may be in the body work. And so in that way, sometimes that will connect into a family lineage that is on one of those. So that can be, that's, I would say, one of the most powerful ways I've found to work with it. But if you don't have that privilege of being in Perth or anywhere, there's little practices, practitioners all over the world, and especially in New Zealand. But if you don't have that ability, understanding something about if you know your background, so understanding something about the history, even if you don't know the exact precise details, can help you to really feel into that history and what that brings up in you. So specific things that happen. So say, using your example of Bulgaria, I don't precisely know, but if that was connected to any of the wars. So just even imagining,
So the Armenian genocide,
so feeling into that Armenian genocide, feeling what comes up for you, because your spirit and your body is telling you, it's giving you that information right now, that's something that is coming up in your life now, that's either blocking where you're expanding to, or it's wanting to be healed. Sometimes our ancestors aren't just our guides, they're also wanting to be healed. So as we rise, our ancestors are also healing. And so they were advising us at the level we're at, and then now they also need help to be raised. Occasionally it's like that as well. So they may be coming to you for healing in that. And so you just feel into, just trust your intuition, feeling into what is coming up for you around that. And then you will start to work with that energetically. So just whatever your processes, everyone has different processes, and maybe shining a light through there. I like to imagine like a line of human beings and just sending this ping of light down through the line, and sometimes it'll be feminine, or sometimes it'll be masculine, sometimes it'll be all. It tends to be there tends to be one masculine or feminine or the other. Sometimes it's all, but most of the time it'll be like, oh, this is the feminine light, sending that light all the way down, and just trusting that it's going wherever it needs to go. So knowing of the history of your background can be helpful in that way, to even start to question what it is that is coming up for you, what this block may be, and then starting to ask of your own life and going, what is this impacting now in my own life? How is this showing up in my own life? Why has this Armenian genocide come up for me to have a look at? And so as you're starting to look like, how may this be dimming me now in this stage of my life? And so just by interrogating, journaling, or however your process is, that starts to release. I always trust that once it's come to our awareness, we're already in that process of releasing and healing. But sometimes it needs a little work as well, just to bring more insight and clarity.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I love that process. It's very deep, and I think I'll explore that a little deeper. Yeah, like it's not eliminating this. This is the information we need to tap into. Yeah. And I think I tend to do that with the goddess, the feminine. Where's the persecution? Where is the evolution? And maybe what did the mother line really reveal in decades ago, or lifetimes ago, even lifetimes ago. So, but I just deal with the life now, and what are the lessons? Integrate it. So I love that. That would be a great session. Yeah, good. We're about healing. Good. Great. This has just been delightful.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for collaborating and co-creating like lots of great mysteries and integration. So we are available. What is your website, or how people can know you or find you?
Yeah, so my website is www.wonderkind, so WANDEK so it's in Australia, so.com.au. I'm grounded in Perth, Western Australia. I'm from New Zealand originally, but people can message me on Instagram or Facebook as well on my business pages if they find those. I'm happy for people to connect in that way. Come for a session if you're in Perth.
Yeah. Hey, you never know if my oil business takes me there. I'll
would
look
love
you
that.
up. Would be great. See, there's so many great expansions right now. And also, Gabrielle has a great Instagram. I love following you on Instagram. You do these really nice posts. It's the whole vibe, and you have a nice artistic feed, and you know, there's lifestyle, there's nature, and then you have a quote, but it's really done artistically. Anybody, what is your Instagram again?
It's Wonderkind Energy.
Wonderkind Energy.
If you go to the website, you can follow the socials as well.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful feed, and I really appreciate that, because you know, I want to sink in visually and get the story easily. So you do that. You do a nice job on that. I know you thought that went through, and you have a Facebook page too. So just reach out to Gabrielle. You'll plug you into the healing system that she's created, ecosystem.
Yeah, beautiful. And what are your details?
Yeah, my details is my website is janemorba.com, JANEMORBA.com. And it's a portal. So you can work with me in the feminine alchemy that I'm doing, or the oil journey. So, and I also have a page just on feminine alchemy and mentoring and coaching. And going to actually open up a new Facebook group for that particularly. And I have two Instagrams. One is Jane Morba, but one I'm really excited about is The Feminine Alchemist. And that has just really been my journey. And also it feels more artistic for me, that one. And Jane Morba is more about the oils, but so there's two places to groove with me. Yes. Well, I think we have a similar kind of vibe going with our Instagrams. Great. So, should we ask permission? Are we ready to close? And then we will come back another series. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do another one. Let's set the intention for another one as we close.
Okay, and then you can help us ground the energy. So, all right, I'll start it off. Are we good? Oh, don't want to go, but here we go. Thank you. Thank you so much, Spirit Guides of Gabrielle and Jane. And thank you for dancing in this space and bringing in this quality of insight, creativity, healing, clarity, vision, and, you know, for ourselves and for people in the world that need to hear our message or really tapped into what we're doing. Thank you for our guides, for dancing with us, being with us, holding this space, our animal spirits, our ancestors, and our goddesses and our shamanic guides. Thank you for being here, and for the directions, the 4 directions of the north, of the south of illumination and playfulness, of the east of new ideas, and the west. Thank you for creating this earth-bound space of the earth and the sky and helping us integrate this. And on a deeper level, I think Gabrielle's going to speak.
So as I breathe this closing of the space, feel that any energy that is mine, that has landed in your systems and your bodies, is now released. So we're all returning back to our own body temples, to our own body systems. We're standing in our own unique power and knowing that we are a valuable source on this planet, that we are so able to create from this space. And feeling all the expansion that has happened in the discussion, through the vibrations that you've received, just trusting that that is being grounded into your body now. And we ask that that's integrated into the systems with ease and grace, all the growth, known and unknown, that has happened to us today. And as you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, just feeling your energy and all the blessings that we've gathered today being sent down to Papatūānuku, to Mother Earth. And you'll feel a beautiful click in as you share the resonance that you're holding in this higher self, in this knowing self, in this self that's willing to be seen and show up and to receive and give for all that you are. And she sends that love back as she always will, as she always does, and you integrate that into your system as well. Ko te taha nui, ko te taha ro, ki te paupau, tākiri tō, he kapa whai ure, he kapa whai ate. Ti hei muri.
Hmm. Hmm.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Great. So we'll see you next time. We'll do another series, and I will stop the recording.
Yeah, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.